Hey everyone, how's it going? Elliot here. Before we get started, big thank you to Audible for sponsoring this video. Today, we're going to be taking a look at quite possibly one of the rarest and coolest items I've ever reviewed on this channel. Recently, I did a video on the Imagineer Game Boy Pocket, which was limited to only 2,000 units. I acquired that through Sendico.com. This video is not sponsored by Sendico, it's sponsored by Audible, but they kindly sent me this Game Boy cartridge, so big thank you to those guys. But yeah, this thing is basically a test cartridge that was in the Nintendo repair centers. It's an official product. It is actually an official Nintendo product. At the top here it says Game Boy, and then in the Japanese it says Game Boy test cartridge or something along those lines. And then you can see there it has 1989 Nintendo. And up at the top it says Nintendo Game Boy. It's got these really cool, familiar sort of patterns here. You can see it's reminiscent of the actual original DMG Game Boy. And then we've got a big cutout slot here, which my friend John sort of guessed was for the power switch. And that's exactly what it is. It's so you can wiggle your finger in there and turn on the Game Boy. The bottom half looks like an absolutely regular cartridge. In fact, if I did that, you wouldn't really notice a difference. On the back, though, there is a slight difference. It's a little bit thicker up here at the top. There's some different screws. We've actually got Phillips screws, flathead screws holding this whole thing together. We will, of course, open it up. And then there's absolutely nothing on the back other than this little dimple, which I imagine is something to do with the injection molding that is used to make this cartridge. So it's a really cool thing. No one's actually sure how many were made, although I do know that they're quite expensive. There's a couple on eBay at the moment for around $500. Now, although I think that price is a little bit more than what this is actually worth, if you wanted to buy one right now, you're going to have to spend $500 on it. But I think they're probably worth more around $300 or so. But it's a very cool item nonetheless. It obviously didn't need to even have this design on it. I mean, it's not like this was on show in a repair center. This would have been round back where they were repairing the Game Boys. But let me just show you what my one does, and then we'll talk a little bit about what some of the other ones can potentially do, because this is not the only test cartridge that was ever made for the Nintendo Game Boy. So let's just flick this DMG on. I'm using my IPS modded Game Boy because it's the easiest one to see. When you press the buttons, you get a little sound. And you can see the button when you press it is highlighting on the actual screen, which is quite cool. Start and select, A and B. And then you have button combinations. You have to press all three together to make sure that it's registering them all properly together. And once you go through the entire thing, you get a little Mario, which is really, really cool actually. It says The End Mario, and then you've got Nintendo. So it's really interesting that Nintendo puts so much effort into making this. I don't know why it's so big, considering it's the most simple ROM I think I've ever seen Nintendo ever put out. But it's really cool nonetheless. Why did they put a Mario on there? Why did they put a Nintendo logo on there? Why is it, so beautifully designed up here on the top with the actual embellishment of the Nintendo Game Boy logo up there? It's a really interesting little thing. It was never exactly seen by the public. It was in the back, as I said. So quite why they put so much effort into it, I don't know. But I think it's just a testament to Nintendo, the company. If they're going to do something, they're going to do it well and right, other than the Virtual Boy. But let me grab my screwdriver and we'll open this thing up. So whilst we're opening it up, let's just talk a little bit about some of the different variants of this thing. So unfortunately, although I'm not really complaining, this one is quite possibly the most boring out of the different revisions that are actually available of this. There's another one which has an actual menu system which goes through a lot more than just the buttons and I guess the speaker as well. So that one ultimately is one of the best ones. There is one of those up on eBay right now for an extortionately high price. But yeah, I think that one's probably the ultimate one. There's actually a couple of people who have dumped these ROMs and then put them onto brand new cartridges, and then they're selling those as sort of DIY test cartridges. They're definitely not selling them as, sort of clones. They're not trying to actually mimic this thing and fool people. It's just a really cool little item if you're actually into Game Boy repairs and you buy quite a lot of dirty, grubby Game Boys. You'll know that the button contacts get oxidized and then sometimes they don't press very well. So although it's a sort of a course of action to just clean them all up, it's nice to have a little test cartridge when you buy something, or if you're going out to a yard sale and you want to have a look at some of the Game Boys out there and you want to figure out what's wrong with them. So yeah, they're really cool. I'll see if I can find one and stick a link to one of those in the description. We've almost got this open. It does look a little bit like my one is a bit yellowed. I will definitely not be retrobrighting this because it's such a rare item. But here we go, we're in. Let's just lift off this back piece. Wow! Okay, I was not expecting that at all. What the heck? What? What on earth? Look, it's practically the same size as the bloody Game Boy. Hang about, why is this so small? I was not expecting that, honestly. That is a huge surprise. I thought it was going to have a big PCB up here. Again, I think there is one which does have a massive PCB going all the way up to the top. But here is the little motherboard itself, and I haven't seen anyone open one of these up on YouTube before. It says Nintendo up there, copyright Nintendo 1989, DMG AGING 01. And then we've got all of the different, I presume, buttons here, which just do something, I guess. I'm not actually completely sure what this does or how it works, but there's the chip up at the top. There's a sticker on top of a hole which goes straight through to the inside, and if you peeled off that sticker and shine some UV light in there, it will actually wipe the chip. So DMG control, I guess. It's really not too complex at all. But I just wasn't expecting my one to be so empty inside. Whilst I put this back together, let's have a quick word from our sponsor, Audible. Something I love doing in my pastime is listening to my Walkman whilst roller skating around with my girlfriend. I also love books, specifically this one about Akio Morita, the co-founder of Sony who came up with the idea for the Walkman. Although I love books, I'm not a huge fan of reading. Not only are words small, but there's also a lot of them. Fortunately, Audible.com has sponsored this video. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks. Every month, members get 1 credit to pick any title, plus 2 Audible originals from a monthly selection. I found listening to audiobooks is a great way to zone out from all the tech in our life and relax, as well as a way to get enjoyment in your pastime without having to stare at a screen. Since the app is free to download on your phone, I can now listen to audiobooks anywhere, just like my Walkman. Visit audible.com/TRF or text TRF to 500 500. So there we go, I've put the whole thing back together. Let's just double check it still works, because that would be really bad if it didn't. Could have probably given the contacts a clean with some isopropyl alcohol, but it seems to work absolutely. Oh no, it's not working. I'm a little bit nervous. This video just took a turn for the worst. Here we go, let's try again. So let's press the wrong buttons. Oh, that's quite annoying. So yeah, you get an idea of what happens if you press the wrong button. It just makes a pretty ear-piercing noise. So that is going to wrap up this video. Look at this thing. It's absolutely monstrous, but it's super, super cool, and I'm a massive fan of it. I'm really, really happy to have one in my collection. I'm in a very fortunate position where companies like Sendico do actually reach out to me. Probably one of the best things that's ever happened this year was that Game Boy Pocket and this thing. That was just an amazing video that I got the pleasure of being able to make. I'm going to stop waffling. That is going to wrap up this video. Big thank you again to Audible for sponsoring this video. If you have enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Let me know what you think of this really cool piece of history. Probably a lot of these just got binned back in the day. So really cool that this one is in my collection. I will be hanging on to it for a very long time. I will catch you guys all in the next video. Peace.
It's just like, this floor is super slippy as well.
I know, yeah.
We need a new one.
That's golden.